Good morning, students. Today I am going to discuss part 2 of chapter 1. The name of the chapter is The Living World from your class 11 biology syllabus. Already we have discussed part 1 portion of this chapter, and from that portion we came to know about the living world and the characteristics of the living world, and within all the characteristics we have discussed already growth, reproduction and metabolism. So today we are going to discuss the cellular organization, because already all of you know this thing that cellular organization is the basic salient feature of the living world or the living organism. So what is the meaning of the cellular organization, or what is the meaning of the cellular structure? So I think all of you know this thing. The body of a living being is made up of one or more cells. So already all of you know this thing, that the cell is structural and functional unit of life. Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. Okay, so I think all of you know this thing. So all living beings are made up of cells. All living beings, all the living organisms, all living beings are made up of one or more cells. One cell means the unicellular organism and more cells means the multicellular organism. But all the living things are actually made up of cells. So rather, cells are considered to be a structural and functional unit of organisms. First, scientist Robert Hooke discovered this cellular structure in living organisms' body. So you can say in this way that cellular organization of the body is the defining feature of all life forms, because a cell is actually the smallest basic unit of life which can perform the life process independently. All the cell is the smallest basic unit of life, so which can perform the life processes independently. So no such organization is seen in non-living objects. No such organization is seen in non-living objects. So therefore, cellular organization is also considered a defining characteristics of the living organism. So approximately we have 76 trillion cells. Approximately we have 76 trillion cells. Okay, so a cell, what is the meaning of this cell? So this is actually mass of protoplasm covered by the cell membrane, and in plants an additional cell wall is also there. So in the animal's body cell membrane is there, in the plant's body cell wall is there. Okay, so some organism is called the acellular or unicellular organism, and some organism is called the multicellular organism. So this which organism is called the acellular or unicellular organism? So what is the meaning of the acellular or what is the meaning of the unicellular organism? That their body cannot be divided into two or more cells. Example, protista, monerans, okay. Metazoans and metaphytes also are multicellular, formed of the innumerable cells. Okay, so like the human, so human is actually belongs to the multicellular organism. So that's why you can say this thing, that the cell is the basic structure, as because cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. So this cellular organization is also considered a defining characteristics of the living organism. So I am showing this thing. Just look at this: atom, molecules, then organelles, then cell. Okay, then accumulation of cell is from tissue, then accumulation of tissue is from organ, then organ system, and then organism. So cell is the basic fundamental unit of life. So as because this cell is absent in the non-living things, so you can say easily that cell is the basic defining characteristics of living organisms. Next thing is the consciousness. Next thing is the consciousness. What is the meaning of the consciousness? That It is the ability to sense their surroundings or environment and respond to these environmental stimuli. I am repeating again, what is the meaning of the consciousness and irritability? That the consciousness is the awareness of one's environment, actions and intention. That I am the conscious person. Okay. You are conscious about this thing. What is the meaning of the word conscious? Conscious means the awareness of surroundings, environment, surroundings, action, surroundings, individual's intention. Okay, so it is present only in the living organism. You cannot see that chair is conscious, this table is conscious. Okay, so this is only the solely, actually it's present in the living organisms. So therefore consciousness is the defining property of living organism. You can say this thing, that the consciousness is the defining properties of the living organism. Okay, so this is also called the sensitivity. This is also called the sensitivity, like the seasonal breeding, photoperiodism, all those things. So it's found in all living organisms from prokaryotes to the most complex eukaryotes. It's found in all living organisms from prokaryotes to the most complex eukaryotes. So next thing is the all living organisms therefore are conscious, aware of our surroundings. Like we all are conscious person, we all are conscious about our surroundings. Human beings is the only species aware of itself. So consciousness is the defining property of living organisms. So patients lying in coma in hospitals, no self-consciousness, no not living, as many as organs or parts are showing all features of living beings. Okay, but in the another hand, the both plants and animals can sense photoperiods for their breeding through plants do not have any sense organ. So although plants do not have any kinds of sense organ, developed sense organ, but they both, these plants actually can sense the photoperiods for their breeding habit. Okay. So that's why you can say in this thing that consciousness is also the defining property of living organism. So thus, and the next thing is the living organisms are the self-replicating, evolving and self-regulating interactive systems capable of responding to external stimuli. I am repeating again, that living organisms are actually the self-replicating, evolving and self-regulating interactive systems which is able to respond to external stimuli. So all living organisms are linked to each other through a common genetic material. So we all have one specific genetic material. So all organisms possesses genetic or hereditary material in the form of the DNA and sometimes RNA also. Okay, but genetic material is DNA. RNA is not the genetic material. DNA is the genetic material. The full form of DNA is the deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, so it's concerned with the expression of traits in the individuals, transmissions of traits from parents to offspring, and to maintain the continuity from one generation to the next generation. So these genetic material, when undergoes mutations and reshuffling of genes, so it causes the variations, okay, and it leads to the evolution. So all those things are interconnected with each other, okay. Next thing is the diversity in the living world. Next topic is the diversity in the living world. So already we have completed the salient features of the living things, salient features of being alive. Okay. So next topic is the diversity in the living world. So actually Earth has 1.7 to approximate 1.7 to 1.8 million known organisms. Okay. So each organism represents a distinct species. Each organism represents a distinct features, characteristics. Okay. So all the species differ from one another. So human is differ from cow. Cow is differ from elephant. Elephant is differ from ant. Ant is differ from butterfly. Okay. So all the species differ from one another. Why? Because each and every specimen has their own distinctive features. So this variability present among organisms, their individuals, communities and ecosystems is called the biodiversity. The term is the biodiversity. Biome is the biological organism. What is the meaning of the biodiversity? Biome is the biological organism and diversity means the variation. Okay. So what is the meaning of the biodiversity? That it refers to the number and variety of organisms, okay, on the planet Earth. Okay. So different kinds of the living organism is there are two types of living organisms, that plants and animals. Okay. Apart from the plants and animals, some fungi, protists, monera, all those things are also there. So this is the basic thing. So this variability present among the organisms, the individuals, communities and ecosystems is also called the biodiversity. So it's not fixed actually. So new organisms are being continuously discovered. Such a large number of organisms cannot be studied without distinct names and a proper system of classification. So this according to IUCN, so please remember this name, this IUCN, the International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Till now 1.7 to 1.8 million species of different organisms have been recorded or described. So these organisms are distributed over a wide range of habitat, including dense forest, thermal vents, dry desert, hot springs, frost, etc. So the number of organisms are higher in the dense forest. So different plants and animals are known by their local names which vary from place to place. And hence a need was realized for naming organisms by the same name all over the world. Suppose we are human, okay. In Indian we are human, okay. But in Australia or in other countries, if our name was another, so it will be difficult to identify the specimen. So that's why this is very much required, this naming things, this naming of organisms by the same name all over the world, okay. So this naming the organisms using a set system of terms is referred as the nomenclature. So this is a word, the word is the nomenclature. So what is the definition of the nomenclature? What is the meaning of the nomenclature? So this nomenclature is actually the making, and this word nomenclature is comes from the Latin word nomen means the name. I am writing here, nomen means the name and clature means the to call. Okay. So nomenclature is the Latin word. The word coming from the nomen means the name and clature means the to call. Okay. So this is actually the making and giving the proper, specific and distinguishing name to each and every organisms. So it's actually of two types, the common names and the scientific name. Like we are human, human is the common name, but one scientific name is also there of human, that Homo sapiens sapiens. So the mode of giving scientific name is also called the binomial nomenclature, as each of them consists of the two words. So the scientists all over the world have made a system and established procedures to assign a scientific name to each known organism which is accepted by all. So these scientific names of plants are based on agreed principles and criteria provided by the ICBN and ICZN. Okay, ICBN means the International Code for Binomial Nomenclature or Botanical Nomenclature. Okay, International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. This is important for your MCQ question. And ICZN means the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. This is also important for your MCQ question. Okay. So ICBN means the International Code for Botanical Nomenclature and ICZN means the International Code for Zoological Nomenclature for naming the animals. So ICBN is applied for the plants and ICZN is applied for the animals. So name for an organism is universally accepted and unique for it. Name for an organism is universally actually accepted and unique for it, and it's not used for any other known organism. Its description should enable the people any part of the world to arrive at the same name. Okay, so this is the basic things. So actually each an organism has two names, the common name and the scientific name. Common names or vernacular names means that they are the local names, okay, so which are given to organisms in a particular region and languages by local persons. Okay, so like the rose in English is and in Hindi word is gulab, okay, Bengali word is golap, okay, Tamil is the rojapo, in the butterfly in English in butterfly, Hindi in titli, okay, Bengali in projapati, okay, but the scientific name is same for all the organisms, okay, scientific name is the same for all the living organisms. So what is the meaning of the scientific name? That they are actually the specific, they are specific and distinguishing names assigned to organisms by the scientist so as to remove ambiguity and make the names universally accepted, actually understood. Okay, so this is the basic thing. So similar nomenclature rules are formulated also the other organisms also, that the International Code of Nomenclature of Bacteria, International Code of Nomenclature of the Cultivated Plants, and International Code of Virus Classification and Nomenclature. Okay, so these three are also an international organization where these bacteria, plants and the viruses namings are occurred respectively. Okay, so these five institutions, these five international organizations, this naming are very important. This ICBN, this ICZN, this ICNB, this ICNCP and the ICVCN. Okay, so these are important for your MCQ examination. Next thing is the name of each organism has two components. Okay, the scientific name of the organisms has two components. One is the generic name, another one is the specified epithet or the species name. Okay, like the Homo sapiens. Homo is genus and the sapiens means the species name. So one generic name is there and another one is species name is there. So this is known as the binomial system. This is known as the binomial nomenclature. So it's a system. So what is the definition of binomial system? So it is a system of providing distinct and proper scientific names to organisms. I am repeating again. It is a system of providing distinct and proper scientific names to the organisms, and each consisting of two words. The first is the genus name. This is the genus, and the second one is the species name. Okay, so this is the basic thing. So that's why, as because the two name is there, the two part is there, that's why they are called the binomial system, binomial nomenclature. And it was given by the scientist Carolus Linnaeus in the year of 1751. Okay, so he published his book Systema Naturae. Example, mango is called the Mangifera indica. Okay, so this Mangifera is the genus name and indica is species name, and this name is widely accepted. This name is widely accepted, all over the world accepted. So other universal rules of nomenclature include the following: that the biological names are generally in Latin and written in italics. So they are either Latinized irrespectively or their origin or derived from Latin. Next thing is in the species name, in the scientific name of the organism, the first part is always genus. This is always will be the genus. Okay, and the second part is always will be the species. Okay, the first part, I am removing all those things. I am writing again Homo sapiens. So here this Homo part is the genus part. Here Homo part is the genus part and sapiens part is the species part. Okay, the first part is the genus. Always this first part always will be genus, and the second part always will be species. Okay, so when the scientific name is handwritten, so both parts are underlined separately. not only one line. Okay, so for one underline for the genus part and the another underline for the species part, one underline for the genus part and the another underline for the species part. And then when the scientific name is handwritten, so this is the rule. Okay, and when this is printed, so this type will be the italic. The genus starts with the capital letter. Always the first letter of genus always will be the capital, and the first letter of species always will be small. Please keep it in your mind. The genus starts with the capital letter while the species epithet starts with the small letter. So always remember one thing, the first letter of genus is always will be the capital letter and the first letter of species always will be the small letter. So this is the rules of the binomial nomenclature. Next thing, the name of the author is mentioned after the specific epithet. Okay, so at the end of the biological name, and it's written in an abbreviation form, that the Mangifera indica. Okay, next thing is the principles of the priority. Principle of priority. So this is important for your examination also. These principles of priority. What is the meaning of it? That if first name given to an organism is valid, okay, based on the rules, so then it's given preference over the second name suggested for the same organism at some time later. So the second name is considered as the synonym. Okay, so this is the basic thing, that suppose one, this Mangifera indica. This Mangifera indica is the scientific name of mango. Okay, so this is actually given by one scientist. This is also given by scientists from the ICBN. Okay, because this is the botany, this is related with the plant. So from ICBN, this species naming is there. So after the giving this name, one another scientist has given the another name. Okay, but the same thing is there, but the same species is there. So the second name is considered as the synonym of this first name. Okay, synonym of this first name. So this no name is considered valid before Systema Naturae for animals and species Plantum for the plants by the Carolus Linnaeus. So this is the basic rules of this binomial nomenclature. This is basic rules of the binomial nomenclature. Okay, so there are some scientific name is there, like common name is human and the scientific name is the Homo sapiens. Okay, so lion, Panthera leo, dog, Canis familiaris, onion, Allium cepa, wheat, Triticum aestivum, brinjal, Solanum melanogena, rose, Rose indica, pigeon, Columba livia. Okay, so these are the scientific names of this known species. So each and every individual has their own scientific name. Always remember this thing, each and every individual has their own scientific name. Okay, so this is the basic, actually the uniqueness of this taxonomy. This is actually the uniqueness, this is actually the specialty of this taxonomy. Okay, so this is the basic thing. So in our next class, we will discuss the need of classification. In our next class, we will discuss the need of classification. So from this video, we came to know about the rest portion of the salient features of the living characteristic living organism. Okay, and the concept of this nomenclature. And the scientific name of the organism. So in our next class we will discuss the uses of taxonomy. Okay, so till then, goodbye, thank you. Please go through this video properly, and if any queries are there, just please to ask me. Okay, thank you, bye.